Hi. So that is, well, this is my makeshift sled, whatever you want to call it. It is just a simple, like, two-step ladder, and I think it's used for like painting. I wouldn't know, like, a real adult things, but yeah, it's not super heavy, and it actually has like if you look at it, it's got like a pretty good angle for me to really push up against, and then I just threw the mat on the floor so it wouldn't drag, and it creates a little bit of friction, so it's actually pretty hard to push. So that's what I'm working with instead of a regular ass prowler or sled. So I'm excited to implement these. So this is it. Welcome to week one of my new training program, or my new, it's a total combination of things like I said before, so I will definitely give you a more in-depth breakdown as soon as I can. Other than that, I'm super excited to train, super excited to continue this journey on trying to increase my speed, increase my athletic ability as best I can. So let's just go after it hard right now. Let's do it. What is up, guys? Welcome to the voiceover, and I'm gonna just really quickly go over just the general scheme of this and basically the broad ideas that I have creating this split. So this first day that you're seeing is my force day, day where I do lower body and I'm training how much force can I put into the ground. And what you're seeing is a bunch of exercises. Basically the sled push and the 5-10-5 are really just kind of like an extension of the warm-up to kind of really excite the nervous system and really get me to really apply a lot of force into the ground. And I think that this day is probably the most important right now in building power in this little block that I'm going to be running. I'm going to try to run this block for about 12 weeks or so, 12 to maybe 16 weeks, essentially the whole length of winter for me. So what you see is a lot of drop jumps, a lot of plyos like hurdle hops, and you're going to see some triple jumps. And to break this block up even further, I'm actually going to start with this as like an introductory block. So you're seeing me do like a lot of landings and not so many reactive jumps on this day, because for this introductory phase I think it's best for me to start off with practicing landing mechanics and make sure my form is as good as possible. And I actually even think that I could take this maybe even longer than just like one 4-week block, because I think that those skills are kind of like invaluable in my opinion. Basically for this day, you want to just start off with any explosive movements that you can do that are very similar to the skill that you're trying to develop, and then finishing off with the strength movements. As I finish this training session, you're going to see me doing deadlifts, and what I'm going to do for that is my strength movements is I'm going to wave them. I'm going to go alternate between deadlifting and squatting each week, just because I don't really I really want to squat, but I don't know, I tweaked my back a little bit last week for the first time back squatting, and I think it has to do with my form, and I think I'm going to kind of play with my form a little bit just so I'm more vertical, more upright. Like you see me in these deadlifts and I'm very lean forward, and I don't necessarily think I need to be that far hitched forward when I'm doing a vertical jump or when I'm sprinting. I like that torso angle really isn't that specific for me. So it's that plus some positional things that I really need to address. I've had low back pain for a long time, and I think it has mostly to do with the position that I'm putting my spine in while I do these movements. And then dumbbell split squat, I really like this day specifically. Like if I had to choose between last week's squat A week or this week's deadlift B week, I really think this one's probably better because the dumbbell split squat's a little bit more specific. Like I'm really driving my foot into the ground and trying to create as much force through just one foot. The unilateral exercises are definitely huge here, I think. for me training my power off of one foot. I think that's definitely a huge plus. And then side plank, that is really just getting a connection with my obliques, I think is definitely going to be important.
All right, don't worry, I'll get the red jumpsuit off right now. So hitting a heavy single and gonna continue with some back off work. Gonna continue with this format in this training cycle where I hit at least one heavy single per week. I probably won't take it above RPE 8 in the volume block, and then in the intensity block, I'll probably keep it a little bit heavier, but I probably won't go up to even RPE 10 unless I decide I want to max out. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So that was the rest of my back off work. Hit a top single at 205, and I'm hoping that is going to be the low top single for the training cycle, although I'm going to see what happens. This is something new that I'm going to start applying to my upper body training sessions, is hitting a heavy single at least once a week. This is something I got from Joey Flex, the program god. So if you're not following him and you're trying to get really strong, I suggest you do. He trains the strongest athletes in the world pound for pound. So heavy singles, definitely something I want to introduce for a while, and I'm just trying to put into application. So I think that's a way that works best for me. Then back off work. Then gonna finish the rest of my upper body training session right now.
So there you saw my back off work, and the top single I think is definitely going to be very beneficial to me. Now for bench, I'm really excited to get back to benching twice a week in this program, as you'll see later on. But just kind of keeping the same format with my upper body as I previously was, kind of. But just adding in more specific. Obviously my goal is to improve my bench press, and I think that just as over time, as I make this kind of comeback to bench pressing, I really want to increase the frequency. So I'm going to bench press twice a week in this program through the entirety, and I'm going to actually break my bench press programming into blocks of 6 weeks to start, and then we'll kind of see. I might jump around. I was thinking about even doing the Johnny Candido advanced bench program just to try it, but obviously not right now. It would be a little ridiculous to go from benching 1 time a week to 5 times a week in that program. And then you see me doing a lot of like seated overhead press and single arm cable row are actually like movements that I think are good for me to do, because I always do bilateral movements for upper body. So I think that it's a good idea for me to really kind of change things up in this introductory phase. I definitely have developed imbalances in my shoulders. I think the single arm cable row is definitely gonna help with that, and I think some of the other positional stuff that I'm doing, it's going to be beneficial for me. And then just finishing off with dumbbell curls and push-ups on the foam roller. I could even add more volume to arms to really improve my bench press over time, because I think that the arms are one of the underlooked aspects of having a strong bench. So I think that that's a good idea too going forward.
So As you know, if you've been following along, I live in the Northeast, and right now it's freezing cold outside, and I don't belong to a gym because I train here. And I was thinking of, potentially getting a gym membership, and I still might maybe do some free trials just to get into a different training environment and, practice sprinting inside during this little off-season type of phase that I'm in. And I was thinking, maybe I will do that. Maybe I'll change up the training environment every once in a while. But this training session is going to be that one that gets varied. So I really thought that taking kind of like like a big picture look at myself and the things I need to improve upon. One of the things that I really need to improve upon is my form. So I'm taking this day and I'm giving it the theme of form, plyos, and practicing some different types of jumps that maybe I normally wouldn't do, but sub-maximally for the most part. We'll see how I progress with that. And then my final day of this training week is going to be sprints. So I'll see how much I can get outside, but I also want to do some different types of stuff movement-wise, so I'm going to vary that also on that day as well. So kind of like a mix, but today is a day where I could even potentially, I was thinking about it, I was like, I want to just try play more and just doing different types of movement variability stuff. So like if I decided I was, a couple friends hit me up, want to pick up basketball, that's today's the day that I would want to do that and substitute this training session for 30 minutes to an hour, probably more than an hour, probably an hour, maybe a little bit longer of like pick up basketball. So that's one way to change it up, in my opinion, is to do stuff like that. I could go and try to belong to a facility, but I was thinking, maybe that's like too easy for me. Like at this point, I almost enjoy the challenge of like, having, suboptimal environments or suboptimal conditions and figuring out how to get around them in my training and still make gains. And I think that that will be valuable to you to follow along and to learn to see how that happens. So if you have access to those things, obviously take advantage of that stuff. That's just, this is just like my way of doing it this time, because I know that once the spring and the summer hits, I'm gonna be, if I can, God willing, I will be out doing sprints, doing maximal vertical jumping all the time. Today's the day where I get to focus on sprint form, my one leg takeoff form, stuff like that. So let's get into this training session.
All right, now we're into day 3, second half of the week. So today's what I would call a reactive plyo day, and I mixed up some regular reactive plyos with like sprint technique plyos, I am calling them. I don't know anyone who really does this, but just doing like a tri-set, like a giant set of the banded A skips, the banded high knee, and then these high knee skips. And I think they're actually going to be really beneficial to me because I think they're going to help me work on my form. Like you could see how much cleaner my arm swing looks here than in my prior videos when I'm actually sprinting. And I think this is going to really help clean up my technique, get my acceleration mechanics a lot better, and really hone in on my overall technique. And the high skips are really emphasizing that triple extension. So, and also kind of simulating my takeoff of one foot. So I really think that this day, although it's not like a super important day, like a super, like I'm gonna use this day and kind of use it interchangeably when I have other fun ideas to get more of like an active stimulus and get more of like if I could play basketball, like basically substitute it for things that I know are going to be plyometric. I know a lot of coaches do this in their warm up, and they do it and they're like, let's play spike ball, because it just has you moving a lot and has you